How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video from me here at ScrubGames, and once again another deck profile, and this time going over one of my old favourites, a leader that I feel is very versatile and I've played so much and really enjoy playing with different variants, and that is Jiren from set 9, the yellow one. So I did before post a blue-yellow version, which now is pretty much changed because of the fact that the Final Rush Bojack was banned. I haven't updated the deck properly yet to play it because I've been enjoying other decks, but today I've got a new green-yellow version of the deck which incorporates some new cards from set 16, which are good tools and very nice things to give this leader a bit of boost, and I thought it could be a good choice for the meta, given that yellow's kind of moving to the next leader and it's a little bit hampered with the limit of Power Super Saiyan and neuter of the Icarus lead. But before we get into the lead, which I would go over the list and then the turn by turn play progression, as well as just describing, explaining why each card is in here, do want to give a shout out to DBSCG Planet for being the best deck builder in the game with a very versatile and easy to use database, which easy to make decks, nice new features they keep adding onto, and they're always improving it with a great team behind it. So, as we get into the deck, just first go to leader, just in case anybody new is watching and they don't know what the leader is because they didn't play before the UW block, which some people did start in the UW block. So this leader is from set 9. On his awakened side, he's got an auto where when he attacks, you can take up to one card from your life and then choose one or two effects. You can either play from your hand a 2 cost or less Universe 11 card from your hand to your battle area, or you can draw one card and gain 5k, so either 5k for the battle, or for the turn I think. So you can either free play a U11, which you got some good ones that get effects when they're played, or just basically get them on the board, or you can just make your leader a 15k, so if your opponent's already awakened, to rise up to their damage without comboing, and also draw more cards. Both options are good. Mainly you're going to want to use the effective free play cards, because free playing cards just are very good, very strong. But then if you don't have a card to play, you can always go for the other option. And like most leaders, it's got the general awakening of when your life's at 4 or less, you can draw one, unsap one, and flip over, so the mid-range kind of awakening. And then on its front side, it now has an auto and inactivate battle, and it's now 15k. And there's also when it attacks, you draw a card and gain 5k for the battle, or for the turn. So you become a 20k swing, which is very good, adding that more pressure than need be, without adding any effects. Just become a 20k, draw one. That's very good. And it also has a very good activate battle, which allows it to survive longer and allows you to get to longer turns and not worry about a turn, turns from dying as long as you've got life, which is you can choose up to one card from your life and add to your hand, and then for the until the end of your opponent's next turn, you can't take any damage by battle while you control a Universe 11 card in your battle area. So essentially, you, on the awakened side, use effect to play out a U11 for free from your hand using the unawakened side's effect, which then you're mainly going to play something with barrier that is harder to interact with, so it's harder to remove. And on your awakened side, once you've awakened 4 life, you have then you could then basically guaranteed 3 extra turns to not die, to last 3 more turns to get your plays going, get your setup going, which is fantastic. So it's a really nice leader. And being in yellow gives it all those good generic yellow tools, which are great use for it. So that is it for the leader. It's very generic as well, so you can, just like with Icarus, you can run a small U11 package, then all the good stuff, which is almost kind of what we're doing here, but we are incorporating a bit more of the engine. So this is a green-yellow build, so we're going to have green-yellow cards in. But first we're going to go to Unison, which is one of the best yellow Unisons in there. Not the best, but one of the best, maybe second best I would say, is SS Trunks Alternate Future. So this is it's a free specified cost, meaning you need to have at least 3 yellow energy to be able to play it. And it has dual attack and 2 marker skills, none of them plus. They're either 0 or minus. So the 0-1 is a really handy one where you just choose one of your opponent's battle cards, switch to rest mode, and if it's 4 cost or less, negate, I think it's just negate his skills, and KO it. So that means you can, if anything's got an effect where it triggers from being destroyed or things like that, or from being KO'd, you can avoid that from being triggered, which is great. And also it just gives you its removal with no extra cost. So being a 20k dual attacker applies a good amount of pressure. And then you do have a kind of almost a board weapon in everyone, being activate main, you draw one card, then you can use all your opponent's battle cards and rest mode and KO them. So that's pretty handy. And since you can be playing it a minimum 3 markers, it's going to be able to use that straight away. And that's nice, so you can just pressure your opponent's leader if they've got the whole board in rest, and then KO the whole board, which is fantastic. And you also get a card from that as well. And you play free because it's a very good Unison, and you mainly get to drop this and then get rid of it, or even just leave it on the board for an attack into, and then get your drop another one after. So that's the only Unison we play. That one we didn't play any mecha. I haven't got a side deck for this yet because I'm not sure if I want to take this to Game Fest. But with the green yellow stuff, we have the brand new Margarita Angel of Universe 11. So this is one of the brand new ones from set 16. It's a 2 cost green yellow battle card with barrier and blocker. So barrier is key there, being the fact, well, 2 cost and barrier key there because you can play off your leader being a 2 cost. And barrier means it's hard to interact with, means when you're awakened, you have this can stick around a lot easier to make it so your activate battle stops you from being damaged for a turn. And it has 2 pretty cool skills. The first one is if you have 1 or more multicolor energy in your energy when this card in your hand is played or comboed from your opponent chooses 1 card in the hand and discards it. So that means if turn 1 you charge a multicolor, which is possible to do. It's not a bad choice to charge a multicolor, and unless you've got a turn 1 play of a 1-drop, it's always fair to do that turn 1. You can get a little bit of a discard, which is quite nice. But no, normally you just want to play these because it's only got a 1 plus 5k combo, which is taking energy to combo 5k is not great, so you want to play this or charge it. But its better skill is its second auto, which is a limit 1, meaning you can only activate this skill once across all copies of cards a turn. And it's when your opponent plays a battle card using a skill or activates a counter skill, you choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards and switch to rest mode. So that means it's got the emphasis yellow there, yellow and green in its card by the first also being a green effect in discarding, and the second one being a yellow effect in tapping things, like resting things. And that's great, so it means if your opponent's plays out by skill, you can choose any one of the battle cards as long as it doesn't have a barrier, and tap it down and make it so you've got less things to worry about. And also if you use counter as well, so if you're attacking and they've got something up and they use a counter to like negate to stop your attack, or a counter play, you can then go ahead and rest I think then as well, which is pretty nice. And being a blocker means you can use it to block if need be, but you're not going to use that often. Until at least until your leader has gone down to 1 life using its effects. The next one we have is Topo, Bestower of Justice. This is another 2 cost. You can play off a lead. Being 16 as well means it's going to be harder to run over, and it also has barriers. So once again, another one that is hard to remove. And this one is a little bit different in the fact it has permanent where it increases the energy cost of this card in my hand by 2, and that's relevant for our next card being Dispo Unprecedented Speed. So once again, this also has barrier, so like almost all the U11 you play in this deck have barrier, meaning it's harder for your opponent to get rid of them to actually do something about it. But Dispo has a successive skill, which for 1 yellow you can send a total of 4 energy worth of green, yellow, or green and yellow battle cards from your board to the drop to play this card from your hand. So that means you can, since the Topo increases cost by 2 on the board, making it 4 cost, you can easily just play this off your leader for free and then sacrifice, in a sense tribute it by paying 1 yellow energy to play the Dispo. And Dispo has a nice auto where if your leader card is a Universe 11 card, when this card is played from your hand or removed from your sent to your drop area by a skill, or from your battle area by a skill, you draw a card. So that means you can get a lot of draw power out of this by playing the Topper for free, swinging with it, then sacking it off for Dispo, and then Dispo draws a card. Then if you success a Dispo using a Disperse already on the board, you get the draw 2 because you get the draw from the one being played and the one you sent to the for the successor because it's being sent by a skill, and it doesn't specify your opponent's skill or your skill. So that's why we play that at 4, and we play the Master Eater at 4, and same with the Dispo, because Dispo you can keep spamming them to get that draw power and just keep that U11 safe. And Master Eater you can play off your leader's effect, and you want to get one of those set up so you can have that second auto live from the first turn. And Topo we play at 3 because you do want to see it so you can get on board to play Dispo by a successor. So 3 play the Topo to get Dispo live, and it just basically is just Universe 11 as well. And anyway, you do want to see more of these so you can at least charge 1, so you get that discard for Master Eater anytime you play them, and none of them unique, so you'd have to worry about not being able to play 1 if one's already on the board. But as it for green and yellow play, so it's not like a normal green yellow list where I play a lot of green and yellow to do the spammy, because with the Belmont being banned from a previous list update, it kind of threw off my list for that, where you can just spam out enough energy to go into the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan that has triple strike and then can swing quite a few times. That one's one that you can just spam loads of attacks. That one's kind of neutered thanks due to that errata. But this is evolved over time, this list and this leader, so this is my new update for it. But that is all the green and yellow cards. Now we're going to the yellow cards. So we'll start off with the obvious ones, like some really powerful cards. It didn't get hit on the list, it was still viable, still very strong, which is the 1-drop Lord Slug and the 3-drop Lord Slug. So the 1-drop is a cantrip when you play it, you draw a card. Then it has a handy activate main, where once per turn by paying 1 yellow you can choose 1 or 2 effects. You can either choose up to 1 Slug's Army card with original energy cost of 3 or less from your hand and play it, then place its card in its owner's drop area, so basically sacrificing itself to play the 3-drop for free from your hand, for 1 energy from your hand. Or you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards, which is the rest mode, so you can either tap a battle card down or play out the Slug. And the reason why the Slug is busted is because it has barrier, which means once again it's hard to trigger, and a permanent Bond 2 effect, which Bond 2 means as well as this card, you need never battle card on board, which is going to be easy because your leader will set up one of the U11 on board to make this possible. And it is when this card is in rest mode, if your leader card, when this card is in rest mode, your opponent can add cards from the deck to the hand using card skills other than the leader card skills. So it means while this card is in rest mode, while you have another card as well as this on the board, your opponent can add any cards from the deck to the hand unless it's done by a leader, which shuts off things like super combos, such as like the Red Jiren's drawing from the evolve skills and things like that. It's just really strong, really good. And it shuts down a lot of things, especially shutting off super combos so they don't get the draw to replace them, but they still get the 10k and stuff. So we play a 3-3 split of this because you want to try and get the Lord Slug maybe turn 1 or 2 to get this out, to drop this out straight away, and then just protect it and keep it safe. And just in case they manage to remove 1, you've got more there to build up drop, and you want to do it cost effective in this deck. Next we have 4 Robotic Riposte. This is just every colour has a floodgate negate, and for yellow it's Mecha Frieza. It's made cheaper by the fact that for every extra card you have, yellow extra card in your energy or drop area is reduced by 1. So it can be reduced down to a 1 cost by having 2 in your energy and or drop. Or even on the field I think as well in your battle area. And it's just a counter attack where you negate the attack and play itself, so you get yourself 1 energy, negate attack and play 15k. And it's autos the floodgate where when this card is played from your hand, each time your opponent will not on attack for the turn, except with Unisons. They need to tap 1 card down to be able to attack. So they need to rest something to be able to attack. If they can't rest, they think they can't attack. And we play for this because it's just fantastic, really cheap floodgate negate to help you survive longer. So like with some of these things, you're going to be able to avoid taking any damage. With your yellow skills, so you can save the leader skill for when you really need it and don't want to waste resources to stop a turn. And then we have another one that's like Mecha Frieza, which is Son Goku Steadfast Assistance. And I say it's a bit like Mecha Frieza because that's the same kind of permanent, where it's but this time where it's counter skill. If you're using its counter skill, it can be reduced by 1 for each yellow extra card in your battle area, energy area, and drop area. So this can be a 1-drop, and it's a counterplay where you just, if the card being played is played in rest mode, and you draw a card, and it's also a blocker as well, so it can help prevent 2 attacks potentially. And it plays at 4 because it replaces itself, and it's a very, you can always instantly make it cheap by just charging extra cards or using them and getting them in your drop. And the next card we have is Basil Fatal Rampage, because this is just so much value. With yellow, you're tapping things down quite easily, or your opponent's paying, attacking and spending energy to make plays. And this has the permanent, which is basically the unique tag. Before we got unique, is a cantrip, meaning that when it's played, it draws a card. And its value, because it's just 1-drop with an activate main where once per turn, if your opponent has 5 or more cards in rest mode, it gains dual attack and gains 15k power as well, so it becomes a 19k dual attack if your opponent has 5 or more cards in rest mode. And since yellow is all about tapping things down and controlling, this is very easy to pull off for very little energy. So we play 2, because once you can always just play 1, get the draw, activate the effect, swing with it, and then when it restands, because it's got dual attack, swing something else, combo off, then play another 1, do another 2 swings. And then we have a Swift Retaliating Caller. So I think there's a few more now counter skills, but a lot of them are quite specific in how they're what they can hit. So they might be lower cost, but they're very specific in what they can hit, like energy cost or what kind of card they can hit. And anyone that's like really generic is normally banned, but the more generic one is this Caller, which is, I say generic because it can hit any counter, just negate a counter skill. It's just counter skills. If you need a card is if you need a card yellow, you negate the counter skill and play this card. So just very generic, just you need a card to be yellow, and then you just stop a counter skill and play itself. It does cost 3 energy, so it's not as cheap as say Bad Ring Laser, but it still just stops any counterplay for 3 energy, which is great when you're going in with a big swing or a game swing with your leader and they want to negate it. You can go no, drop this, and it also has an auto, which means you gain advantage. But when you play this card, you draw 1 card. Then if you have 6, or if your opponent has 6 or more, if you have 6 or more cards in rest mode, which you'll have at least 3 from playing this, you draw 1 more. You draw another card, so you can get 2 draws off of this. So you can negate a card, get this as a free 15k attacker or 5k combo if you're going for a kill swing, and also gain 2 more, like at least 1 or 2 more cards, which is so much value. And it's crazy that this card is still around. A lot of people have been asking for being the banned, and I'm surprised I haven't touched it, given how many people have been asking for this over time. But you play 2 copies because you want to see at least 1 copy before you go for the kill. And then we have 1 Bergamo Ferocious War. This was limited to a reason because it was so good, and it has in yellow there's quite an easy few ways to make your opponent tap cards, and when they do, you can use this first auto, where for 2 energy, being at least 1 yellow, when one of your opponent's cards is switched energy in rest mode by one of your skills, you can play it itself. And its second auto is when you play it if your lead card is yellow, or a Universe 9 card, which fulfills that condition by being yellow. You can choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards and or energy, ignore barrier, and rest them. And the fact that it can rest energy is just so good, and a good reason why it was limited to 1, because it's that good. And then next we have our super combo choice, being the Krillin Moments of Before Comeback, because this series of super combos from set 11 are so good, because you can just, once your life's at 4 or less, which is how our leader awakens, and since we've got self-awakening built into the lead as well, you just pop a card from your hand to the bottom of your deck and draw 2 new cards, which is great because you can help fix your hand while also super comboing for 10k and drawing more cards. And we can easily have full condition of by or energy being yellow, because even if you charge a multicolor, it's still yellow in the cards, so our energy will still be yellow. And we're not going to charge any black cards that we have in this deck, which we'll see in a bit. And then the last yellow battle card is Frieza Divine Transformation. So this is a really, really strong card. It has Deflect, meaning it can't be stopped from coming down. It has Double Strike, meaning it can provide quite a bit of pressure, and Blocker, which means it can help protect your life as well, even if you don't want to use your leader's effect. And it also is hard to remove because of its permanent, where if this card can't be removed from your battle area by your opponent's skills, so the only way they're getting rid of it is if they minus it down by to 0 with minus power skills, or they negate the effect before trying to remove it. Now it has 2 autos. First one is if your leader card is yellow. When this card is played, you choose all your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO them. Doesn't ignore barrier though, that's a shame. And then you choose up to 1 card in your life and flip it face down, so that doesn't matter. It's more like when it's played, it KOs all your opponent's battle cards in rest mode. Then it has an ever auto. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a counter attack skill, so any negate or any counter attack skill when you're attacking, doesn't have to be with this card, could be with any card. You choose 2 of your opponent's cards, switch into rest mode, and then they can't be switched to active mode until the end of your opponent's next turn, which is great. So you get a tap down. You can either keep 2 things that are already tapped down if they don't have anything active, tap down, so you can't restand it, or you can, if they counter attack, you can then tap down any 2 things that are. So I think it's just any cards. Yeah, it's any cards. You can choose your opponent's energy if they got energy open, power cards, anything. They just can't select through barrier though. That's the only shame. But it's really nice, and it also restands at the end of the turn with its first auto, as I forgot to say. So the turn you play it, you get to KO the battle card, swing with it, then restand it ready to block and help defend as well. So it's a really good card for your late game to make it harder for your opponent. And he's got 5 specified costs of yellow, which is not a problem because, as I said, we're going to always have yellow energy. But that's it for the yellow battle cards. Next we have the black cards, being first one Poutine, the Dark Sorcerer. So every non-black color got a black card that had a network for the color. Unfortunately, the green and red ones got banned because they were too busted. Even though they had no combo power, they were still extremely strong and got banned for being just free play and just increasingly strong. But yellow also does have a really good one, but wasn't hit. It does have barrier and unique, meaning you can only play 1 copy at a time, and barrier means it's hard to remove, so that's one benefit of this. And it's almost like an extra margarita as well, because it can be free played, but if your leader card is yellow, when your opponent's card is switched to rest mode by one of your skills, you can play it from your hand. So just like how Bergamo is, you can play it from your hand by switching something to rest mode using one of your skills. And then once, as I said, it's got a similar effect to Margarita, where once per turn, when your opponent plays a battle card with a skill or activates a counter skill, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards, switch to rest mode. So if you have this and Margarita on your board, whenever your opponent plays anything by a skill or activates a counter, you're tapping 2 of their battle cards every turn, which is very strong. So it gives that extra defense of not having to worry about anything your opponent does. And we play 2 because he's got common power if you need be it, and you want to see it to drop it because it's that strong and it's very easy to pull off. Next we have our overall choice, being SS4 Bardock, Fight Against Fate. Now we don't really need board removal because we've kind of got that sorted in our freezer and in Unison and things like that. We don't have to worry too much about that, so instead we're going for the next best. So since we don't need Secret Identity to deal with the board, we go for the next one, being SS4 Bardock, being a very aggressive overrealm. So if you're going in, you can drop this for just a dual attacking 25k for free, which is really good and great value, especially being 25k. As I said, it's a sweet spot because it means your opponent has to invest more than 1 super combo to out combo this for as cheap as possible. And then our secret rare choice is the Pan secret rare Time Patrol Maiden. So as I said, this is fantastic and amazing because its power is reduced with its permanent for every battle card in play. So it's reduced by 2 for every battle card in play, and that counts both you and your opponent. And since you're going to be getting things like Margarita and Poutine on board, you can have some battle cards on board that are going to stay there for ages. And if you have say 2 battle cards, your opponent has 2, that's fulfilled the condition to make it free to play and 0 cost. And do note that it doesn't say it doesn't specify a certain turn, like if it's your turn or your opponent's turn to have that. So you can either play it as a counter attack for free on your opponent's turn, or play it for free as an attacker on your turn. And its counter attack is pretty strong, where if you have 3 or more energy, you play this card and your opponent can't attack with battle cards for the rest of the turn, and then you can activate the counter skill on this copies of this card for the game. And that's relevant because you can recycle it. There's potential to recycle this card, So if they didn't have that, you'd be able to recycle it again and then keep using it, which would be pretty strong. And it does have a nice activate main as well, where for 1 energy you remove this card from the game and choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards and take control of it. So this is the most secret rares now have tend to get a permanent where if it gets removed from the board, it gets removed from the game, but it doesn't have it because it's built into its activate main, which is a good thing. And that is it for the battle cards. Now we have the 3 extra cards we have in the deck. So first one being the obvious one, a Power to Super Saiyan. This was recently limited to 1 because it's that powerful, just for 0, because you can play it for free, use it because it's permanent, where if you have a at least one mono yellow energy in active mode, you can activate his activate battle for free. And it can be used as a counter attack, where it's just negate the attack, and it's a 1 cost as well. But his activate battle, where it was, which is the reason why it was so good and why it was limited, is activate battle if your leader card's yellow, which is just the only bit it cost. You can you draw a card, then choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards or Unison cards, which is the rest mode, and you can activate battle card skills on copies of this card for the turn. So it's essentially just for free. You can draw a card to replace itself, or rest one of your opponent's battle cards and Unisons, which then instantly triggers Bergamo, Poutine, and things like that to free play using their autos. And that's the reason why it's limited, because for 0 energy, it replaces itself, it rests things down, and then triggers triggers conditions for certain cards as well. And since it's 1, we just play it because. But now the only thing you got to worry about is how you use it, because since you only have 1 copy of this card, you got to be careful of how when you use it and how you use it. The next 2 we have 3 Vegeta's Final Flash. This is just a fantastic card, and it's how you get through barrier and some in other decks now, because yellow doesn't every deck needs to have some form of barrier removal, and while we haven't got any barrier removal in this deck, we do have a way to get everything with barrier, being Vegeta's Final Flash. If your opponent has something to keep in active mode that has barrier, you want to shut off. Final Flash does that. If you have something in rest mode that you want to attack over, but you can add power to this and also shut the effect off as well, meaning if it does get if they do combat of it, they're at least having the effect shut off. And it helps with things that it's got things like revenge and stuff like that, you can turn it off while you're killing the card, and it just adds a nice bit of power as well. Defensively you can use it, or offensively. And the last card we got is another good card we got from set 16 that's really good for yellow, being Realm of the Gods Black Kamehameha. So this is not a replacement for the copies of Power to Super Saiyan we lost, but it is a very good card nonetheless, and it's almost like Final Flash in that that we got a set of them that are sort of like those ones where we get the power, because Final Flash, which I forgot to go over, if your leader card is yellow, if your leader card and all your energy is yellow, you could choose it to one of your battle cards or leader cards and get 15k power for the battle, and it's also you could use one of your opponent's battle cards and ignoring barrier and negate his skills for the turn. And what Realm of the Gods does is if your leader card is if your leader card is yellow, you choose it to one of your cards and it gets 10k power for the battle. So this Realm of the Gods one works on the Unison, whereas Final Flash doesn't give the power to a Unison. If it's your turn, you also get 1 or 2 effects, where there's 1 effect for either turn. So if it's your turn, you choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO it, so a bit of removal there. But if it's your opponent's turn, you draw a card, so you replace itself, and then choose it to 2 of your opponent's battle cards and switch into rest mode. So not only do you get the replace itself by drawing a card and get a 10k, which is like a pseudo super combo, like we had for Goku Black and Goku Unbreakable and Villainous Cell, or Inferno Villainy Cell. But you also get to choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards and rest them, meaning you got with all the rest of the stuff in your hand, all the rest of stuff in the deck. You can have turns where instead of using your leader's effect to save yourself in return for taking damage, you also have other things just like combat of attacks and prevent other future attacks. So you can keep the life 1 for if you really need it to not waste resources, which is fantastic. And yet it doesn't have the late game thing like Fu anymore, since that was also banned on the recent list. But with yellow, like most yellow decks, you just grind your opponent down and out advantage them, and kill them through overwhelming advantage, taking away theirs, preventing them from doing things, and then just advantage, because almost everything in the deck draws. Like a lot of things draw, and you draw quite a bit from the leader as well, where you start awakening and setting up. But that is it for the deck. Feel free to like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below if there's any questions you have regarding the deck, anything you don't agree with, anything you could want to suggest, because I don't mind discussing things in the comments to basically go over. Like, it could be some things I missed I could add, or if some things I overlooked. I'd be happy to like communicate and potentially improve this list, because I do love this leader, and it seems like a fun list to try out, even though it is quite generic. Generic Yellow deck. It is using a leader I enjoy, which is what I'm looking forward to. And also, don't forget to subscribe. It keeps you updated with my videos when they drop, and also helps me with my goal to 1,000 subs, which I'm currently just over a quarter way there. And if you do subscribe, you can click the notification bell to get little notification alerts of when my videos do drop. Now, once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.